Hello, Gooners, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. What a match. What an absolute roller coaster of emotions at the Vitality Stadium. If you missed Arsenal's 3-2 victory over Bournemouth, then buckle up, because you missed one of the most dramatic, nerve-shredding, character-defining performances of our entire season. This was not pretty. This was not comfortable. But this might just be the kind of gritty, hard-fought victory that separates champions from pretenders. Picture this. Arsenal go behind early after a horror mistake. The atmosphere is tense. The doubters are already reaching for their keyboards. But then something special happens. The very player who made that error scores to level the match. Then Declan Rice, fresh off a knee injury, produces a second-half masterclass with 2 brilliant goals. Arsenal are cruising at 3-1. The points are secure, except they are not. Bournemouth strike back to make it 3-2 with time still on the clock. Cue panic. Cue tension. Cue every Arsenal fan around the world checking how much added time is left. But our Gunners held firm. They showed composure. They showed maturity. They got the job done. And here's the beautiful part. This victory extends our lead at the top of the Premier League table to 6 points over Aston Villa and 7 points over Manchester City. We are not just top of the table anymore. We are pulling away. We are showing we can win ugly. We are showing we have the mentality to be champions. In this video, I am going to break down everything that happened at Bournemouth. Gabriel's redemption arc, Declan Rice's heroics, Martin Odegaard's continued brilliance, the defensive concerns we still need to address, the tactical changes Mikel Arteta made at halftime that transformed the match, and what this result means for our title charge. So make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and let's dive deep into a victory that had absolutely everything. This is Arsenal Daily News, and this is a story of how our Gunners showed they have what it takes to go all the way. Arsenal 3, Bournemouth 2, a tale of character and resilience. Hello and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today we are diving deep into Arsenal's latest Premier League victory, a thrilling 3-2 win away at Bournemouth on January 3rd, 2026. This was not the comfortable victory some might have expected, but was a match that reveals so much about the character and mentality of this Arsenal squad as they chase the Premier League title. The match overview. Arsenal traveled to the Vitality Stadium, knowing they faced a difficult challenge. Bournemouth had been impressive at home this season, and manager Mikel Arteta had clearly done his homework. In his post-match comments, Arteta acknowledged the difficulty, saying they knew the challenge ahead. He described Bournemouth as a team that is constantly stretching you and asking you questions. They are so good at attracting you to make the right play in the right duel, he explained. And Bournemouth proved exactly that. This was far from a routine away day for the Gunners. The final score was 3-2, with Arsenal having to dig deep to secure all 3 points. The victory keeps Arsenal atop the Premier League table, which is exactly where Mikel Arteta and his players want to be at this crucial stage of the season. A nightmare start. The match began in the worst possible way for Arsenal. Gabriel Magalhaes, normally so reliable at the heart of the defense, made a significant error that led to Bournemouth taking an early lead. Evanilson capitalized on Gabriel's mistake to put the home side 1-0 up. This was precisely the kind of start Arsenal did not need away from home against a confident Bournemouth side. Mikel Arteta was honest about this moment after the game. We made it even harder for ourselves in the manner we conceded the first one. He admitted it was a crucial moment in the match, the kind that can determine whether a team wins or loses. But what happened next tells you everything about the character of this Arsenal team, and particularly about Gabriel himself. Gabriel's redemption story. Rather than letting his head drop after the error, Gabriel Magalhaes responded in the best way possible. He scored Arsenal's equalizer to level the game at 1-1. This was not just any goal. This was a statement. This was a player refusing to be defined by his mistake, and instead choosing to be the solution to the problem he had created. Mikel Arteta was full of praise for his central defender after the match. When asked specifically about Gabriel's response to his gaffe, Arteta painted a picture of exactly the kind of leader Gabriel is. When you talk about presence, being dominant and authoritative, that is probably a player that represents that in this team, Arteta said. And you have to lead by example. You cannot demand that of the rest, and then if something happens to you, do not do it. Today's example is a great one. These words reveal so much about what Arteta values in his players. Gabriel could have hidden. He could have played safe for the rest of the match. Instead, he continued to be dominant, authoritative, and present. He showed his teammates that making a mistake is human, but how you respond to that mistake is what defines your character. This is leadership. This is a mentality that wins championships. Declan Rice takes center stage. If Gabriel was the star of the first half, then Declan Rice was undoubtedly the star of the second. The midfielder scored twice in the second half to turn the game in Arsenal's favor. His first goal came from a Martin Odegaard assist, showcasing the kind of creative interplay that Arsenal have developed this season. His second was assisted by Mikel, demonstrating how multiple Arsenal players were contributing to the attacking threat. Rice's brace was particularly impressive given the context. This was an away match against a stubborn opponent. This was a game where Arsenal needed someone to step up and deliver. Rice did exactly that. In his post-match interview, Rice described the achievement as crazy. He explained that he had been in situations before where he had scored one goal in a game and desperately wanted another, but could not get it. To score twice in such an important match was clearly special for him. What made Rice even more endearing to Arsenal fans was his honesty about wanting a hat trick. "I had to," he said. "I was thinking one more cut back to me, please." He admitted that Bournemouth shut down the space for the next 15 minutes after his second goal, preventing him from completing his hat trick. "I was gutted not to get the hat trick," he confessed. This hunger, this desire to keep scoring, is exactly what Arsenal need from their midfield if they are going to win the Premier League title. Rice also put the performance into context. He noted that Bournemouth at this stadium had only conceded 6 goals at home. He had read that statistic somewhere, and it underlined just how difficult this venue is for visiting teams. With the attacking threat that they have and the manager, we knew it was going to be tough, Rice explained. To pick up the 3 points in the way we have done it, after not the best first half from us, was a really important win. The Bournemouth fight back. Arsenal's victory was not without drama. Even after Rice had scored twice to give Arsenal a 3-1 lead, Bournemouth refused to give up. Eli Jr. Krupi scored late in the second half to make it 3-2. Arteta mentioned that they let in a sloppy goal, with Rice describing it as a great finish from the Bournemouth player. This goal made the final minutes tense. Arsenal were holding on to a slender 1-goal lead away from home against a team that had shown throughout the match that they could create chances. It would have been easy for Arsenal to panic, to invite more pressure, but they held firm. They showed the kind of game management that title-winning teams must possess. Second half improvements. One of the most interesting aspects of Arteta's post-match analysis was his discussion of the second half performance. When asked about how good Arsenal had been in the first 15 minutes of the second half, Arteta explained the thought process. "We try to learn from what happened in the first half and try to improve it," he said. "You can gather a lot of information and try to change a game or give them the tools to do it. The players have to use it. This is tactical coaching at its finest." Arteta clearly analyzed what went wrong in the first half, identified the issues, and communicated solutions to his players at halftime. The fact that Arsenal came out and dominated the early stages of the second half shows that his message got through. The players listened, adapted, and executed the game plan. Rice echoed this sentiment when discussing the character of the team. "Massive," he said when asked about it. "It shows the character of Gabriel to make the mistake and respond as the mentality of the team. We came back in the second half, but again we let in a sloppy goal." The midfielder clearly recognized that while Arsenal had improved, they still had defensive lapses to address. The title race context. This victory keeps Arsenal atop the Premier League table. The exact gap to second place was not specified in the immediate post-match coverage, but what is clear is that Arsenal are in pole position. Every win at this stage of the season is crucial. Dropping points away at Bournemouth could have been disastrous for their title hopes. Arteta acknowledged the challenging period ahead. When asked about the long month coming up, "A lot," he responded. "First of all, to understand what they are doing because of what they had in November, December, and what is ahead in January. You see how they celebrate every action, and that is what we are going to need. This comment reveals that Arteta is acutely aware of the fixture congestion his team faces. The November-December period was clearly demanding, and January promises more of the same. The way Bournemouth celebrated every action, the passion and commitment they showed, is what Arteta wants to see from his own team in every match going forward. Rice also touched on this when discussing his contribution. It is a crucial one because Christmas time, the fixtures come thick and fast, and to help the team out with 2 goals is massive because we're going to need everyone chipping in at different points. He explained. This is the mindset of a team player, someone who understands that the burden of scoring goals cannot fall on just 1 or 2 players. Everyone must contribute. What this win tells us about Arsenal. This match reveals several important truths about Arsenal's title credentials. First, they have the character to win, even when not at their best. Arteta himself said this was not their finest performance, particularly in the first half. But they found a way to win. They dug deep. They showed resilience. Second, they have leaders throughout the squad. Gabriel's response to his error was that of a true captain. Even though he does not wear the armband, Rice stepped up when needed, delivering 2 crucial goals. These are the moments that define seasons. Third, they have tactical flexibility. Arteta's ability to identify problems at halftime and make adjustments that work shows his growing maturity as a manager. The players' ability to implement those changes shows their tactical intelligence and willingness to learn. Fourth, they have multiple goal threats. While Rice scored twice in this match, the assists came from Odegaard and Saka. Gabriel also got on the score sheet. This spread of goal contributions makes Arsenal much harder to defend against. Opponents cannot just focus on stopping one player. Areas of concern. However, the match also exposed some vulnerabilities. Gabriel's error for first goal was a reminder that even the best defenders can make mistakes. In a tight title race, such errors can be costly. Arsenal cannot afford many more of those moments. The late goal conceded to make it 3-2 was also concerning. Arteta called it a sloppy goal. Rice agreed that it was a great finish, but the implication was clear: Arsenal should have defended it better. When you're trying to see out a game and preserve a lead, you cannot give opponents hope with 15 or so minutes remaining. The first half performance was clearly below Arsenal's standards. While they improved dramatically after halftime, they cannot afford to start matches slowly, especially in big games. Title races are often decided by fine margins. Starting poorly and having to come from behind takes extra energy and creates unnecessary stress. The road ahead. Arsenal's schedule remains demanding. Arteta mentioned the challenging period they've been through and what lies ahead in January. Every match feels like a cup final at this stage of the season. The team that handles the pressure best, that manages the fixture congestion most effectively, will likely emerge as champions. Rice's desire for a hat trick, his disappointment at not getting it, shows a mentality in the squad. These players are not satisfied with winning. They want to dominate. They want to score more goals. They want to put matches to bed early so they can manage their energy levels. This hunger will be crucial in the weeks and months ahead. The fact that players like Saka came off the bench and immediately contributed with an assist shows the depth Arsenal have built. In a long season with multiple competitions, having quality options on the bench is essential. Arteta has built a squad where players know they might not start every match, but when called upon, they must deliver. Conclusion. Arsenal's 3-2 victory at Bournemouth was far from pretty, but it was effective. It was the kind of win that champions need to grind out when things are not going perfectly. Gabriel showed incredible character to respond to his error with a goal. Rice delivered when it mattered most with 2 second-half strikes. The team collectively showed the resilience and determination that title winners must possess. Mikel Arteta will be pleased with the 3 points and with the character his team showed, but he will also know there is work to do. The defensive lapses cannot continue. The slow starts must be addressed. The team must find ways to kill games off and avoid the kind of late tension they experienced when Bournemouth pulled a goal back. But the most important thing is this: Arsenal won. They are still top of the Premier League table. They are showing they can win different types of matches. They can come from behind. They can grind out results. They have leaders throughout the squad. They have goal threats from multiple positions. The title race is far from over. There will be more tests ahead, more difficult away days, more moments where character and resilience will be tested. But on January 3rd, 2026 at the Vitality Stadium, Arsenal passed their test. They showed they have what it takes to be champions. Now, they must do it again and again and again. Thank you for watching Arsenal Daily News. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an update on the Gunners' title charge. We will be back soon with more analysis and coverage. Until then, stay positive and trust the process. Come on, you Gunners. Arsenal Daily News, Bournemouth versus Arsenal match analysis. Hello, Arsenal fans, and welcome back to Arsenal Daily News. Today, we're going to dive deep into what was an absolutely thrilling match at the Vitality Stadium, where our Gunners came through a real test of character to beat Bournemouth 3-2 and maintain control at the top of the Premier League table. This was not an easy victory by any stretch of the imagination. In fact, if you were watching this match, your heart rate probably went through the roof multiple times. But that is what makes this Arsenal team so special this season. They find ways to win even when things get difficult, even when mistakes happen, and even when the opposition refuses to lie down. Let me take you through this match in detail, starting with what went wrong early on and how Arsenal responded with incredible character and quality. The early setback. The match began in the worst possible way for Arsenal. Gabriel, our usually reliable Brazilian center back, made an error that gifted Bournemouth the opening goal. According to the match report, he played a dreadful blind pass across the box. This is the kind of mistake that can happen to any defender. But at this level, against a hungry Bournemouth side fighting for points, it was immediately punished. Eva Nilsson, the Bournemouth striker, made no mistake and opened the scoring. Now, here is where we see the difference between a team that is genuinely competing for the title and a team that crumbles under pressure. A weaker Arsenal side might have let their heads drop. They might have started pointing fingers. They might have allowed that early setback to derail their entire afternoon. But not this Arsenal team. Not under the leadership we have in that dressing room. Gabriel's redemption. What happened next was absolutely crucial to the outcome of this match. Gabriel, the very same player who had just gifted Bournemouth the lead, stepped up and equalized. He scored with what was described as a sharp finish at the other end. This is the mark of a true professional. This is the mark of a player who has the mental strength required to compete at the highest level. Gabriel did not hide. He did not let that mistake define his performance. Instead, he atoned for his error almost immediately by getting Arsenal back on level terms. The match report gave him a rating of 6 out of 10, noting that while he made that howler to give Bournemouth the lead, he was brave when crosses came in and was described as the perfect man for seeing out a lead. That mental resilience is absolutely vital in a title race. The Declan Rice Show. Now let's talk about the man who was absolutely massive in this match. Declan Rice. The midfielder received a rating of 9 out of 10. And honestly, that might even be slightly harsh because he was phenomenal. Rice was described as a surprise return from a knee issue, which shows just how much Arsenal needed him on the pitch. When it really mattered, he stepped up in spectacular fashion. Rice scored twice in the second half to put Arsenal in what looked like a commanding position. His first goal was described as a lovely low finish that put Arsenal in front for the first time in the match. Can you imagine the relief and joy around the Vitality Stadium when that ball hit the back of the net? Arsenal had turned the game completely around from that early setback. But Rice was not done there. He was in the right place at the right time to make it 3-1, giving Arsenal what appeared to be a comfortable cushion. The match report described this as a massive performance, and they were absolutely right. This is why Arsenal invested so heavily in Rice. This is why he wears that Arsenal shirt. In the big moments, in the crucial games, he delivers. Odegaard's continued excellence. Behind Rice's goals was another world-class performance from Martin Odegaard. Our captain received a rating of 8 out of 10, and the statistics tell the story. This was his third straight match with an assist. Let that sink in for a moment. 3 consecutive matches with an assist. That is the kind of consistency that wins you Premier League titles. The match report highlighted a gorgeous pass through to Saka for Rice's second goal. Odegaard's vision and passing range were on full display. But it was not just his attacking contributions that stood out. He was described as relentless off the ball too, making 3 tackles. The report noted that he continues to lead from the front, and that is exactly what you want from your captain. He sets the standard both with and without the ball. Mixed performances up front. The attacking players had varying degrees of success in this match. Victor Gyökeres, the striker, received a rating of 6 out of 10. The report noted another match with no goals and minimal touches for him, which has become a bit of a concerning pattern. However, the analysis pointed out something important about his contribution. His battling and physical presence attracted 4 Bournemouth defenders, which left the space for Rice's goal. This is an interesting tactical point. Sometimes a striker's value is not always measured in goals and assists. If Gyökeres is occupying multiple defenders and creating space for others, he is still contributing to the team. However, Arsenal will be hoping he can add more goals to his game soon, because that is ultimately what strikers are judged on. Noni Madueke had what was described as a strange mixture of being unplayable and anonymous. He received a rating of 6 out of 10. The report said he looked electric early on, and his positive running led to the equalizer. That is a significant contribution. However, he then faded badly, and the report noted that more was needed defensively too. This inconsistency within a single match is something Madueke will need to work on if he wants to cement a regular starting spot. Gabriel Martinelli had a disappointing afternoon, receiving just a rating of 5 out of 10. The match report said he wasted a chance to show why he should be getting the nod over Leandro Trossard. There was no real conviction when running at the Bournemouth right back Jimenez, and when he did beat him, the final ball was poor. These are harsh words, but probably fair. Martinelli knows he has the talent, but he needs to show it more consistently. Defensive concerns. At the back, there were some concerns beyond Gabriel's early error. Piero Hincapié received a rating of just 5 out of 10. The report noted some sloppy passes, and that he was beaten too easily by Semenyo more than once. The analysis said he floated around the final third, but was not as effective in that role as Ricardo Calafiori. This suggests that perhaps Hincapié is still adapting to the demands of the Premier League and the specific role Arsenal are asking him to play. Martin Zubimendi, the midfielder, also had a difficult first half. He received a rating of 6 out of 10. The match report said he was miles off the pace in the first half with heavy touches and loose passes. He did improve after break, which shows good character, but he picked up a needless booking that left him less able to provide protection to the defense. In tight matches like this, you need your defensive midfielders to be disciplined and avoid silly yellow cards. On a more positive note, William Saliba was excellent once again. He received a rating of 8 out of 10 and was described as the most composed of defenders. The report said he was confident up against Ivan Nilsson, refuses to be rushed, won all of his aerial duels, and provided some much-needed calm. Saliba has been a rock for Arsenal all season, and performances like this show why he is considered one of the best defenders in the Premier League. Jurrien Timber had a game of 2 halves. He received a rating of 7 out of 10. He struggled in the first half with Bournemouth, getting plenty of joy down that flank. But the report highlighted a sensational last-ditch challenge after the break that denied Brooks a tap-in. That one moment could have been the difference between winning and drawing this match. Those are the kinds of crucial defensive interventions that win titles. The impact substitutes. Arsenal made several substitutions that helped them manage the game. Bukayo Saka came on for Madueke in the 66th minute and had an immediate impact. He received a rating of 7 out of 10. The report said he perfectly picked out Rice for one of his goals and curled an effort over the bar when cutting inside. The analysis noted that he is some option to have off the bench. This depth is crucial for a title-challenging side. Leandro Trossard replaced Martinelli, also in the 66th minute, and received a rating of 6 out of 10. The match report said he was unlucky not to start after his recent form. He worked hard and kept hold of the ball well to help see out the match. Again, this shows the quality Arsenal have in reserve. Gabriel Jesus came on for Gyökeres and received a rating of 5 out of 10. The report noted he was not quite as sharp compared to his recent cameos and lost the ball a couple of times when trying to bundle through. Mikel came on late for Odegaard and was described as effective enough after being brought on to bolster the midfield. The late scare. Just when Arsenal thought they had the match won at 3-1, Bournemouth struck back. Junior Krupi scored what was described as a brilliant strike to make it 3-2 and set up a grandstand finish. This is where Arsenal's character was really tested. At 3-1, the game looked comfortable. At 3-2 with time left to play, suddenly the nerves are jangling and Bournemouth have momentum. But Arsenal came through that test. They managed the final minutes professionally and held on for the 3 points. David Raya, the goalkeeper, received a rating of 7 out of 10. The report said he had no chance of the 2 goals and otherwise had very little to do. He was confident with his distribution, even when Bournemouth pressed high, which is important for Arsenal's style of play. The title race picture. So what does this victory mean for the Premier League title race? The numbers tell a very encouraging story for Arsenal fans. The match report states that Arsenal now sits 6 points ahead of Aston Villa and 7 points clear of Manchester City, who were due to host Chelsea. This is a significant lead at this stage of the season. Let me put this into perspective. Arsenal have extended their lead at the summit of the Premier League. They have shown they can win even when not playing at their absolute best. They have shown they can recover from setbacks. They have shown they have match winners throughout the team. These are all characteristics of champions. Of course, there is still a long way to go in the season. Manchester City are always dangerous and will fight until the very end. Aston Villa have been impressive this season and will not give up easily. But Arsenal are in the driving seat. They control their own destiny. If they keep winning matches, even ugly ones like this, they will be lifting the Premier League trophy at the end of the season. Final thoughts. This was not Arsenal's best performance of the season. There were mistakes. There were sloppy passes. There were defensive lapses. But you know what? That does not matter. What matters is that Arsenal found a way to win. They showed resilience. They showed character. They showed quality when it mattered most. Declan Rice was absolutely magnificent with his 2 goals. Martin Odegaard continues to pull the strings and create chances. The defense, despite some shaky moments, held firm when needed, and the substitutes made positive impacts when called upon. This 3-2 victory at Bournemouth might not have been pretty, but it could be the kind of result that defines a title-winning season. When you look back at the end of the campaign, you remember these matches, the ones where you had to dig deep, the ones where everything did not go to plan, but you still found 3 points. Arsenal are 6 points clear. Arsenal are in control. Arsenal are showing they have what it takes to win this Premier League title. Keep believing, Gooners. This could be our year. Thank you for watching Arsenal Daily News. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss our match analysis. Let me know in the comments what you thought of performance and whether you think Arsenal can maintain this lead at the top. Until next time, keep supporting the Arsenal.